What's up, meatbags? Today we're doing an indie comic review and we're talking about The Maniac. That's right, it's The Maniac Uninvited Part 1. The Maniac Uninvited Part 1 was written by John Borelli, better known to the internet as Johnny Rocket, writer of Elephant and a longtime Dick Show fan and Biggest Problem in the Universe fan. Illustrated and lettered by Corgan Fowler, edited by Joshua Jones, and cover by Ray Ray Is Happy. Now, the Maniac opens up with a foreword written by Johnny Rocket himself. It's a subtle little nod to the ISOM letters written to Eric July's ego. But here, Johnny Rocket is writing a letter to you guys. He thanks a bunch of people. I'm not included in the thanks, but maybe if you're Tony from Hack the Movies or Corgan, Young Clippa, or EVS, you'll really appreciate the thanks you get in this. It is actually a very funny, very well written forward. It gets you set for the mood for the Maniac. Do not skip this. It doesn't give any spoilers. It doesn't have anything to do with the plot of the book. It is just a nice little forward to the comic. Very funny. I recommend you reading this if you purchase the book. Now, I'm not going to show everything of the book. I'm just going to show some of the pages that were already shown in the campaign for the Maniac. As we go through the story of the Maniac, we get an overall view of what's going on. We got the Maniac himself, the main character. He's sort of like a Judge Dredd meets Batman, hyped up to about 11. He is psycho, he's crazy, and he's looking to just get into a fight, to beat people up, to cause violence and pain. He's not really about justice or stopping crime or anything like that. No, he just actually just wants to hurt people and cause pain. And I guess supervillains are a good target for that, right? And so the Maniac lives in a world in which the supervillain Faust has defeated all the other superheroes and the other supervillains for the most part. He runs the world. Everything is under his control. And the Maniac is obviously not happy about this because he was born too late to mix it up with a lot of these villains, to mix it up with the heroes, to get into all these classic bouts of strength and stuff. So the Maniac, he goes around causing trouble, trying to get the attention of Faust, while secretly in his civilian identity working for Faust as the man in charge of the media. The Maniac has a robotic butler, or maid, I guess you would say, that he created himself. And so the overall story in this is that the Maniac has decided that he's got to stop being little. He's got to go big time, right? He's got to go after the big guy. He's going to go attack Faust. Even though Faust is invulnerable, and even though the Maniac doesn't have any superpowers, he figures the only way to get his attention is to go after him. There's a big party going on, so the Maniac's going to head to the party, and he's going to go and cause some mayhem. Now, along the way, the Maniac does cause some damage. He gets to a scuffle with a supervillain by the name of the Misery Master. The Misery Master is sort of like the Joker and the Riddler combined into this strange combination that just works really well. He's got a top hat. He's got henchmen that have teardrops for heads. They're fake heads. Obviously, they're not their real heads. And he's also heading to the party for undisclosed reasons, but he's heading there too. A third supervillain, which I won't spoil because it is a little funny little gag, he shows up too. And that's pretty much where the comic ends. It's only 25 pages. It ends right when it really starts to get going, when you start getting invested in the story. You got all the setup, you got everything going, and then no real payoff. Cliffhanger, not a payoff. So if I was going to say I had any complaint about the Maniac, it was that I wanted more, which I guess is a really good complaint to have, right? When it comes to comic books, wanting more. The second issue cannot come out fast enough because I am interested to see where it's going. The story is fast paced. It is well written. It is comedic. It is clear that Johnny Rocket understands comedy and how to use it and how to make it work with his witty dialogue. He's got some puns. The Maniac plays things really straight, even though things are going around him, things are happening. He doesn't seem too overly concerned with certain things that are going on around him. There's a great panel in which the Maniac's car flips upside down, and the panel flips upside down with it. That was well executed. Uh, like I said, the pacing's really well. The paneling's done really well. You can follow along with the story. He knows what he's doing. He's scripted this very tightly. There's no wasted space. There's no wasted panels in this. It is fast paced. It goes from 100 at the beginning to 100 at the end. It never slows down. And that's a good thing because the jokes come fast. And I want to say 99% of them are going to land with everybody. There's a few jokes, like the one here where you got Joshua Moon. The main joke is still going to land with people. The fact that the Maniak, he wasn't trying to stop a criminal. He didn't know that this guy was the Anambla chapter president. He just doesn't give a fuck about cyclists, right? Yeah, the cyclist is what pissed him off, not the fact that the guy was a PDF file, right? Now, obviously, he's named Joshua Moon after the Kiwi Farms owner and proprietor, right? But I think normal people probably won't get that, little joke. But there is a lot of nods to stuff like that in the book. So if you're familiar with internet culture, with certain internet personalities, you're going to see a lot of that in there. The main villain who makes an appearance right at the end with the cliffhanger sort of looks like, I guess, in my opinion, Dick Masterson. Maybe that's what they're going for. I'm pretty sure it is. The guy who introduces people to the party talks about, hey, go upstairs for the freak off. He looks suspiciously like Tony from Hack the Movies, though his head is quite a bit smaller than what Tony's head should be if it was him in that shot. As you can see from the pages that I've showed off, the comic is in black and white, and it works really well. They use the colors to really highlight things. The shadows are good. The art is very consistent and well done. It is very familiar comic book style art. It's not trying to go manga. It's not trying to go super edgy. It's not trying to go very stylistic. It is comic book art that you would expect, and it works exactly the way it should. It is very good. Corgan knocked it out of the park with this. The character designs, like I said, all the shadows, the paneling, everything in this book, really well done. Now, there is one line in this book that I think is a typo. And I say think because the writing in this is so funny and the writing is well done. I'm not sure if it was done on purpose or if it is a legit typo, right? I have reached out to Johnny Rocket. He hasn't got back to me. But I will read the line and you guys can decide for yourself, right? I'm not going to show the page, but I will read the line and then you guys can tell me if you think there's a typo, right? So they're looking at a poster that says, don't be a maniac, because they're trying to figure out why the maniac calls himself the maniac. And the gentleman in the boardroom says, it probably has something to do with those posters we put out a while back. And the poster being, don't be a maniac. And then the next line is, he think he funny. He think he funny. Now, I could see Johnny putting that in there as a joke, whereas this guy also thinks he's funny. But I can also see it being a typo where it should be he thinks he's funny, right? So I think it can go either way. I'm leaning towards the fact that it is probably not a typo and is actually dialogue written purposefully. The only other complaint, I guess you would say, I would have is that in the book it says The Maniac Uninvited Part 1, which I believe is the correct title, and the Indiegogo campaign was The Maniac The Uninvited Part 1, with the extra the in there. So I'm thinking the Indiegogo must have had an extra the, and it's not the actual title of the book. That's not the mistake. So, I mean, that's not a big deal. I guess that would be an extreme nitpick, but really there's nothing to nitpick about the book. It is fantastic. Like I said, well-written dialogue, fast-paced. The art is top tier. Fantastic storytelling. The paneling is great. The jokes land. Clearly, they understand both the art of comedy and storytelling, as well as the medium of comic books. This is probably my favorite indie comic so far, right? And of all the indie comics that I've read in the last couple of years, I'm going to say right now, as of 6/13/2025, The Maniac Uninvited Part 1 is my favorite. Guys, if you have a chance, go reach out to Johnny Rocket. I'm sure he could provide you a PDF of this comic for $12 if you haven't gotten in on the physical like I did. So I do have a physical version of this coming, as well as a physical version of the Harry Liggins comic. So if it is half as good as The Maniac, that is sure to be a laugh riot, and I will go over it when I get that. But guys, this is going to be fantastic. I did have some reservations going into it, right? I was thinking maybe some of the jokes weren't going to land, maybe the humor was going to be too in your face, and I thought maybe it's going to be a one trick pony. The comedy would wear thin, but I don't think that's the case. I think Johnny has crafted a story with enough comedy but enough action, and he's blended it in a way that the joke never seems to fall flat so far. And I look forward to what he's got going on in the future with the Maniac. That's all I got to say for this. Guys, have you backed the Maniac? Are you going to back the Maniac? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And until next time, take it easy.